Labyrinths is brought to you by Knox Robinson Productions. Please consider becoming a patron. For as little as $5 a month, you can listen to Labyrinths ad-free.
Visit patreon.com/Knox Robinson to learn more.
I'm Amanda Knox.
And I'm Christopher Robinson.
And this
is Who's Right? Between our usual Labyrinths episodes, we sit down to debate something quite serious.
Or silly.
And ask you, who is right?
It's me.
It's me.
It's me.
It's clearly me.
No, definitely me.
It's me.
Me?
No, me.
It's me.
How could it be anyone but me?
Says the man sleeping on the couch.
Are you, trying to get back at me for something?
What do you mean?
As you crunch almonds loudly into the microphone.
I'm sorry, I'm just so hungry. I'm done. There's no more.
Today's topic is the value and virtue of silence. Should there be some spaces in society where silence reigns? I think that's our question.
Yeah.
For example, I was recently scheduling a haircut, and one of the little additions you could select on the checkout page for the barber was haircut in silence.
Yeah,
which
very thoughtful.
I did not select, but I appreciated that was an option.
Yeah, I wish that dentists had that option. Because how awkward
Got any
is
summer
it?
plans?
I go along with my highway. Actually, my dentist, I recently got the last few years, I got a new dentist, and I was shocked when my dentist just put on classical music and didn't talk to me at all, except to tell me, where I needed to brush my teeth better.
Yeah.
But, it was fabulous. I didn't realize how much the value of silence meant to me until I had it. And then
I've always wanted a grocery store checkout line that would be, marked with a little symbol that's like no chit chat line.
I think I'm against that.
Why?
Well, so I understand.
What about for us?
Awkward,
antisocial.
You're more social than me. I think you're actually more extroverted than me.
Yeah. Some days I just want to buy my fake beer and Cheez-Its and get out of there,
So, all right. So here's why I think I'm anti that, but I'm pro getting your teeth cleaned or your hair cut in silence. So when you are being effectively groomed by the dentist or by, your hairdresser.
Or nail salon is another great example of this. Yeah.
Nail salons, they're so chatty.
Yeah.
It's weird if they're not talking to you, and especially if they're talking about you in another language to the person next to them. Then you feel awkward. But in these places where you're grooming or being groomed, I feel like a really lovely aspect of that experience is just the feeling of being touched by another human being in a way that is mindful and careful. And I feel like when I am in a position where I feel awkwardly forced to interact with that person, I'm being taken away from the bodily experience. There's a reason why your massage therapist is not chit-chatting you while they're giving you a massage. And for me...
What do you think of the Mets this season?
I know. I feel like that's just the opposite of what you're looking for when you want to be touched and have that experience. However...
That's not what you're getting at the dentist, though. Dentist, you just can't talk.
Well, but that and kind of, I don't actually mind getting my teeth poked and scraped. I kind of find it therapeutic in a way, too. I don't love the drill, but I don't often get the drill.
I've meditated even through the drill.
Sure.
But I feel like that's
And if anything,
level,
it's like, you should be focusing on your bodily experiences in that moment. You shouldn't be thinking about being social. The grocery store attendant, however, I would argue is a perfect example of people who occupy a communal space
Mm-hmm.
having the opportunity to acknowledge each other's common core human existence by having a little chit chat. And I feel like if you
Society is
turn,
better off if there's a little
yes,
chit-chat
if there's
lubricant
a
there.
little chit chat lubricant, you're not treating, I mean, otherwise it's like, why don't we have kiosks? If you're going to go down that
That's what I
realm,
want.
well, sure, and then have a kiosk, but there's a real human being, flesh and blood, who's going beep,
I know, and I feel
beep,
bad that
beep
human being has to
all
do that.
day. Beep,
I don't want them to have to
beep,
do that.
chuk, 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 beep. Like
Yeah.
that person needs some human stimulation. Same with like taxi drivers.
It's compassion for
So
them.
I know a lot of people don't like talking to taxi drivers or Uber drivers because they're like, I'm just trying to get where I'm going. But this is a
what would Jesus do?
This is a missed opportunity. One, because that person who's stuck in a car all day is just stuck in a car all day. They can't go and do anything else. They're just doing a beep thing on their own, so they could use some intellectual
I mean, they could have a
stimulation.
Bluetooth earbud in and listen to a podcast.
Yeah, but it's not the same. Anyway, so
Or listen to
but
Ariana
I
Grande
think you're also
for 10 hours.
losing an opportunity to have that, like, again, that social lubricant, that acknowledgement that, you know, he's not just a robot serving you. It's not just like a slave person who's at the wheel. Like, this is a
So
human
you're doing
being.
this for the benefit. This is something you do for their benefit, not for your own.
In the same way that you talk to a waiter or a waitress and you say, how's your day going? Like,
I don't do that. Should I be doing that?
I think that's nice.
How's your day going
Well,
to the waiter? Come
okay.
on.
So the reason why for the waiter it doesn't really work is because the waiter's actually time crunched. The waiter doesn't actually have time to interact with
it's
you.
a courtesy to him to be as fast as possible with your order.
Right. But if a waiter talks to you, you should definitely talk to them back.
I mean, look, I'm not going to not say words.
Just
Yes.
So what I'm saying is I think there is value to, however awkward it may feel at the time, to having those human interactions when they're not about you being groomed.
Can I counterpoint here?
Sure.
So being groomed, being massaged, getting your nails did, your hair done, all that, I get why that feels like something where you should just focus in on the sensations that are happening to you. I agree with you. I'm there with you.
Taxi drivers can tell you where to go.
What I'm going to posit here is that you can equally, in the same way you can have a peaceful walk, you can have a peaceful drive through the city. You can, as the driver or as the passenger, coming into New York from LaGuardia, crossing the bridge, you could just be admiring the cityscape. So could the driver. But instead, you're chatting about the weather, which you can both tell is rainy, whatever it is.
That's not what I talk to people about in the car.
What do you talk about?
Well, usually people are asking me, like, what brings you to Wisconsin? And then I have to awkwardly explain that I'm there because I went to prison for a crime that I didn't do.
And you don't get tired of doing that over and over again?
I do, but I feel like, in fact, I feel like if anyone in the world has reason to complain about this,
you have the right, but not me.
No, well, but I look at this as an opportunity to find a surprising moment of connection with somebody that you would otherwise just like totally look over. And I learned so many interesting things about people.
You're talking about the value of this. I'm not denying the value. I'm not saying you can't make a stunning connection or learn something really interesting or just see someone else's humanity in a really crystalline way.
But what you're saying is that when you open up the Uber app, you want the option to have a silent ride.
Yep.
And I think that a lot of people who would choose the silent ride would actually benefit from the social lubrication.
So you want a paternalistic system here.
No, I obviously don't want a paternalistic system. I just think that people undervalue the world of chit-chat, especially now.
Maybe when you click the button, it says, are you sure? You might benefit from a little chit-chat.
Well, especially because what else are we doing in the car? People aren't looking out at the cityscape. They're looking at their phones. They're
looking at Instagram. Yeah, that's true.
So
the chit-chat is a you know?
Is a reminder that we're all present here together. You're a person.
All
I'm
right.
a person. We're
What about
sharing
the
space
quiet
with each
car
other.
on the commuter train?
Well, I'm 100% pro that.
Why is that different?
I mean, it's not tremendously different, except for some people you don't know when you're like on a commuter train, you don't know where people are at in their REM cycle. Like some people are just exhausted and need rest.
And that's sometimes me getting into an Uber, you know?
Fair enough. But
right?
but other people are working. Like, I get it because it's a commuter train. I don't know.
How is it different coming? You don't know where someone's at in their REM cycle when they're getting in a taxi out of an airport.
Look,
you know?
What I'm saying, and here's the true thing that's going on here, is I know that if I were given the option, I would probably choose that silent ride. I would probably choose to go through a
you don't think
counter
it would be good
line.
for you?
Yeah, I don't think it would be good for me. I feel like it would socially isolate me. Like I would choose to go to the counter that no one talks to me because I've had the experience of someone getting my credit card and being like, "You're Amanda Knox," and I just I've had those awkward social situations that have made me feel really uncomfortable. However,
this is you choosing not to keep cookies in the house because you know you'll eat them, is what you're telling me?
I mean,
this
I
is
don't
an
have
option
that particular
no,
problem.
but like you would want this option if it were there, but you don't think it would actually be good for you. So you'd rather not have the option. You'd rather have it not be easy for you to achieve that silent checkout line or Uber ride.
Look, I think what I'm saying is I'm not actually against silent spaces in all of these spaces because I think that there's value to that. But I do think that we are, as people, often losing the opportunity to interact with each other, which is why one thing I really enjoy now is hanging out a little bit before and after we go and do meditation, just for the sake of being in a room full of people who meditate together. There's value in
that is explicitly what that time is for. Like the reason you show up early and the reason you linger afterwards is there's no other function to be happening there other than you socializing with people.
Sure. And
right?
I totally understand. And again, of all people, I totally understand how horrible forced interactions with people are.
Now, if you're leaving the dentist office and you've finished scheduling your next appointment,
You'd be
do you linger in the waiting room to just chat with people?
No.
What are you waiting for? Oh, getting a crown, eh?
You'd be a weirdo.
Yeah. That space is not for that.
No,
right?
It is not. And notably, people don't talk to each other in waiting rooms anymore. Did they ever talk to each other in waiting rooms? Was it always the fact that you had a magazine in front of you?
I think what I'm getting at here is that...
Why are waiting rooms silent or spaces?
Why aren't they chatty?
Yeah. There's nothing else for you to do.
Well, you can flip through old magazines or now you can look at your phone.
Right.
But I think the reason they're not chatty is because the archetypal waiting room is the doctor's office.
Uh-huh.
Dentist is after that. And then you've got DMV and other things like that, right? But at the doctor's office...
embarrassing to be in a doctor's office?
You don't pry into why someone's at the doctor because it could be something, could be you've got a cancer diagnosis.
But what
brings you here?
You don't have to say what brings you here. You can say, "Oh, I like your shirt. Where'd you get it? How's the weather?"
Yeah.
There are lots of things you can talk about with people.
And then what happens when that person's like, "I just found out I'm going to die in 3 months." You like my shirt?
How often do you think that's been
the case?
It, I guess I'm just saying I'm surprised that the waiting room isn't a more chatty place. It's sort of become a silent space, even though it seems like that would be a perfect opportunity to talk to a random stranger.
Yeah, there's something about the way they design those spaces. Even the fish tank, it's like... They
don't disturb the fish.
Yeah, and people have phobias around dentists and doctors and getting poked with needles and all that stuff. I think they want a really calming environment, not a chatty social environment. And I think that's encouraged by the waiting rooms and the offices themselves, but also I think people intuit that. And people are thinking about why they're there, you know? But the thrust of my argument here in general is I think there's not a lot of opportunities in our society to engage in just mindful behavior and just observing of where you are. And
that's not what people are going to do in silent spaces.
That's what I would do.
Is it?
Tweet about that.
I guess, and I'm just counterpointing for the sake of counterpointing, honestly, because I'm not against silent spaces. What about like, you know, your old typical granddad environment where people just got to know their neighbors and knew who the kid was bagging their groceries and you know, like I chat a lot with the people at the grogrocery store.
It's because they all have crushes on you.
What? I chat with the guy whose wife has just had a baby. We're talking about baby stuff.
Yeah, well.
Anyway.
Still, I get it. That's valuable. I like that small town vibe too.
You don't talk to anyone at the grocery store. You avoid eye contact as much as humanly possible. I've seen you.
You're correct.
Would you? Okay, here's a question though. So the hairdresser that you're speaking about is a friend of ours.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you hit the silent option?
Yes, I could. Yeah.
Even though we're friends with her?
Yeah.
You'd show up and be like, hey, Tara, not how's it going?
No, you can say how's it going, and you can say, you know, I'm really looking forward to this peaceful haircut. And then slip into turn on the silence, you know?
This seems so awkward to me. I feel like that silence would be more awkward than talking.
And for the record, I also understand, we didn't bring this up, but like some people treat the barber or the nail salon almost like a therapy session. Like they're explicitly, one of the things they value about that time is that they get to chat with somebody and maybe even someone that they don't know all that well or at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a trope.
It's a special outlet in society to be able to like vent about something.
Gossip.
And I get the value of that too. But I think we have lots of opportunities for that. And
where? Who do you talk to? I have toddlers with me all day. Who do you talk to? When do you talk to anyone?
Not me. Talking about the grand royal we, you know? Yeah.
I don't think people talk to people.
Well, then what are we worrying about here? You're saying no one talks to each other?
Yeah. I'm a little bit worried that no one talks to each other.
Like the big problem of our age is the phone zombie?
Yes.
Yeah. So what we need is a please chat to me. You know, you need like a party game questions thing in your Uber app.
You know?
What are you afraid of? You know?
I mean, people don't know how to talk anymore.
I mean, if the grocery store checkout had a little, like, when you got up to the thing, a little thing would spin and it would land on a funny party question.
Yes.
What was your worst date? And then you and the checkout guy had to talk about that.
That would be amazing.
I might go to that line.
You would totally go to that line. And I like that because then it's not like prying. It's not like a weird person prying about something specific about you. It's just
But again, the libertarian in me wants options. I want the normal lane. I want the silent lane. And I want the spin the wheel for a party question lane. And probably there should be a bikini barista lane.
Oh, what a libertarian.
I wouldn't go there, but, you know.
As long as there is a bikini barista bane.
Sure, yeah.
The bagging boy is like shirtless.
Yeah.
Chopping wood.
Yes. If bikini baristas are okay, and we've all decided that's okay, I don't see why bikini grocery checkout person is any different. It's not any different. Bikini dental receptionist. You
is
just
it
pay
different because they're handling? No, baristas are handling food too. No, it's all the same. Why aren't there bikini grocers?
Yeah, or receptionists or Uber drivers.
This is in Italy, boo. That's why. They invented those in Italy.
So
we could give you lots of reasons to support Labyrinths on Patreon, including ad-free episodes and exclusive patron-only content.
But why not hear it direct from a listener?
My name is Henry, and I've been a supporter of the Labyrinths podcast for some time. I can totally relate to the concept of feeling lost, and I think the stories have helped me tremendously getting through these last couple of years, and I think they would help others as well.
Visit patreon.com/Knox Robinson. What about planes?
Okay.
Have you, well, first of all, have you ever been the chatty person on the plane who talks to the person next to you the whole time?
No, I always have a book.
But you've been chatted at and you've reciprocated.
Yes, although I try to make it pretty clear that I have a very nice book.
What about the golden opportunity to see the true humanity of somebody?
The golden opportunity of a plane is a book. I get sick in a car. I can't.
So if you didn't get sick in a car, you just have a book?
I would absolutely have a book.
Then you don't need to chat to the Uber driver.
No, but the grocery store is a really good example of a perfectly
because
sound...
you can't really read a book there.
No. You're in transit. You're paying for things.
Yeah. I mean, you could be doing work emails. Is that rude?
God, that is so rude. It's like being on your phone. Like, that's an interesting thing. We're not supposed to be on our phones when we're paying for things. Why is that? What does it matter? All we do is put a card onto a thing now. It's not like we need to hear.
It's because of what you brought up. It's because it treats that person like a robot. Right? You're just like the
even
thing
though we're not talking to them?
I mean,
you have to like make eye contact.
You're supposed to make eye contact and I do this for the record. I make eye contact. I say a few words.
Like, what do you say? Here I am. Boop. Boop.
What do I say? Let me think of a thing I've actually said. Oh, there's waters down below,
You're being helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or something will come up. They'll ask you a question. Do you want me to double bag the meat?
Right.
Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it.
And then have a nice day.
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll do the minimum expected human interaction. And I think that's enough. But if I sit there on my phone like this while they're doing everything, it's rude. And I get that. And I don't want to do that. And you wouldn't do that to like a doctor who was looking in your ear. You wouldn't just be like looking at your phone or doing a work email.
Why not? Actually, why not? Because it's not going to change your ear. Your ear is still there.
It's an opportunity for you to practice silence.
I guess I just find it interesting
while you're being
where in society it's considered rude or not to talk or be distracted. Because I think you're right. Like if you were at the doctor and they were looking in your ear or giving you a mammogram or whatever, and you were distracting yourself on your phone, somebody would look at you being like, you can't be 2 seconds away from your phone. But if you're on your phone the entire time that you're in a car, that's not unusual. No one blinks an eye at that. Why is that not rude?
I'm also just thinking about like the bus and how there's a norm we've all established that you basically don't really chat with people on the bus, at least in contemporary society, unless
you're hitting on them.
Unless you establish some sort of mutual consent. And if
and even then,
yeah.
Not really.
If there's like something that comes up in the environment that prompts discussion, boy, do you see that car wreck? And then you can start chatting with somebody, but you don't just like, how was your day?
I've definitely done that before.
Really? Is that who I married?
Yes. So I've definitely talked to people. I've been the chatty person on the bus. When I was in high school, I was just like going home every day on the bus, the regular bus. What happened to your
book?
I often would read a book, but then it would make me car sick.
And so
I would just be like,
instead of inhabiting the silence, you decided to interrupt someone else's book.
And no one ever seemed sad to have a young woman talking to them.
I
know. But it actually got me into trouble sometimes. I had a person follow me off the bus demanding my phone number. And I had to go into a department store and talk to a client or a customer service agent to help me. Bad news bears. Learned my lesson.
What about like if, plumber comes to your house or something, do you feel an obligation to chat with them?
I feel an obligation to make them a sandwich because it's like you're visiting my home.
You do. I've noticed that.
I feel weirdly compelled to feed them.
Yeah.
To like,
can I get you a roast turkey? Come over for Thanksgiving. Yeah.
I don't know. It's something weird. I know I shouldn't feel that way, but like, if you're in my house, somehow you've made it into my house, and now it's like, well, now I got to feed you and give you a LaCroix.
All right, what about do you ever want to just mute button me?
Yes.
The truth comes out. Here we go. The value of silence. It's just applied to me.
I hear you talk a lot. Have you ever wanted to mute me? This is a classic like trope about men and their wives.
Yeah. I don't think so.
I don't talk that much.
I don't think I've wanted to mute you. I've wanted to fast forward you.
Oh, really?
Come on, get to the point here. Is that bad? I'm not, it's not surprising.
No, I've definitely wanted to fast forward you.
Yeah, and
get to the point.
I think what I want to know is, where do you think, when you just take a step back and look at how silence and chattiness and so forth, like, fills out your day on a day-to-day, look at your life, is it in balance? Is it where you want it to be? Do you want there to be more silence in your life? Do you want there to be less?
Well, I would say that in our lives right now, there is not barely any chattiness. There's a lot of...
Defining chattiness as like superficial chatter or what?
I mean, we talk a lot about work.
Mm-hmm.
The most chatty that we get is with our children. And like just, playful banter. Just, the casual stuff of humans being humans in a room with nothing, like not needing anything from each other.
No goal other than to fill the space with words.
Yeah. We don't have that. When was the last time you hung out with your guy friends?
Is that valuable?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just reminded of this time in grad school when the poet Paul Muldoon came to visit our class, and it was just like 8 of us around a table, and he was talking for an hour, and we were asking questions, and we were talking about poetry, and he was answering some question, explaining some process of his writing process, some poetic concept. I forget what it was. But in the middle of his, I know. I had eaten a sandwich that day that was a little piece of pepperoncini was stuck in my teeth. He paused at some moment in the middle of his sentence and just waited for like 30 seconds.
30 seconds is a long time.
It was a long time. We were all looking around. I was making eye contact with other people like, is he just done talking?
Like in the middle of a sentence?
Yeah. Is he should we talk now?
Is his brain, did he have
a did he stroke out? Yeah. But he was just looking for the exact right phrase that he wanted to use to describe this nuanced thing he was describing. And when he did talk, it made sense and it was an elegant phrase. He was so comfortable inhabiting the silence that felt awkward to the rest of us. And I don't remember anything of what he said, but I remember how comfortable he felt in a silence that had felt awkward to me. And that he didn't feel compelled to fill that silence with ums or likes or or stuttery gibberish language to get him across that 30 seconds until the point when he knew what he wanted to say. And
I think that's valuable.
Really, really had an impact on me.
But it wasn't him not interacting.
No.
That silence was a part of the chit-chat. It just happened to be silence. Silence is communication as well.
And you know what? A good barber conversation, to bring it back around, it can go like that.
Mm.
There are versions of this where you chat a little bit and then you're just kind of silent for a few minutes. They clip your hair. 5 minutes goes by, and then one of you brings up something else again, and you chat for a few more minutes, or you continue the thread. It's like a slow conversation. It's a conversation the length of what could be a long grocery conversation, but stretched out over 20 or 30 minutes.
So it's a little bit the best of both worlds then, because you get to just sort of like zone into your hair, and then a thought occurs to you, and you share it with the barber.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay.
Well, maybe it's time to throw it to the listeners here.
Yeah. Do you have any fun experiences of being in awkward silences or?
Yes. Have you ever wanted to mute your significant other or fast forward them? Is there not enough silence in your daily life, in society?
I want to know
much?
If we've come up with a really ingenious way to go through the grocery line with this, like, card flipping thing.
Yeah. The party game.
The party
game questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your awkward first date?
Yeah,
Thing,
that could be in taxis too. That's like a real easy thing to make a taxi conversation.
Do you really want to know the Uber driver's awkward first date?
Yes, everyone wants to know everyone's awkward first date. Come on.
Yeah, I kind of do want to know. Honestly, it depends what the guy looks like.
What?
I think.
Why? Why are you being weird now?
Just because you can look at some people and you're like, do I want to know this guy's like romantic history? I don't know. I'm going to let that pass. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's being...
Judging a book by its cover?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, totally is. That's a separate who's right. All right.
Anyway.
Let us know your thoughts and...
reach out to us at knoxrobinson.com.
Thanks for listening.
In the Labyrinths podcast system, the listener is serenaded by two separate but equally important hosts, Amanda Knox, who brings authenticity and empathy, and Christopher Robinson, who brings intellectual curiosity. These are their stories.
What do you think, Knox?
Looks like a podcast junkie, shot up with one too many ads.
Should have become a patron from the looks of it.
Who wouldn't prefer ad-free episodes and signed books and live video hangouts over overdosing on ads in an alleyway?
Don't patronize me, Knox. Leave that to the listener.
Visit patreon.com/Knox Robinson.